Hello and welcome to Getting Down to Business, a public affairs program exploring economic development issues affecting Covington and Kenton County. I'm your host, Pat Frew, Executive Director of the Covington Business Council. My guest today is Tamara Harkavy, CEO and Artistic Director of ArtWorks. Tamara is the founding CEO and Artistic Director of the organization, which has become a leader in workforce development and public art in Cincinnati. By employing artists of all ages, ArtWorks' innovative programming has created works of art that have literally changed the face of communities throughout the city. I've known Tamara for 20 years. She is really a titan in the arts community and the business community as well. Tamara, welcome to Getting Down to Business.
Thank you. I've known you for 20 years.
Yeah, does that make you feel older or what?
It makes me feel wise. It just shows that if you work hard enough for long enough, good stuff happens.
Yeah, and you've done some. Yeah, and you too. And you've done some great work with ArtWorks. You know, more than 3,600 teens and 2,000 professional artists. Tamara serves on the board of the Mercantile Library, Ohio Citizens for the Arts, the Art Academy of Cincinnati, Over the Rhine Chamber. The list goes on and on. 3CDC Program Committee, and you're also on the leadership team for Blink. Which is what we're here to talk about, an extraordinary interactive light show. Tell us a little bit more about this program and what it's going to mean when it comes this fall.
Well, first of all, I want to welcome Kentucky
Yes.
to Blink.
Yes.
And many of us who were at Blink in 2017 recognize that we had no idea what was going to happen. We had no idea that we were going to have the impact that we had. We could have had 10 people show up. We could have had 100, but we had over 1 million. And it just made so much sense this year as we were planning to cross that bridge,
Yes.
To join our communities together, because it is the greater Cincinnati area that we impacted. And so we're super excited to have to step over the river, both directions, and join Kentucky and Kentucky's kids and Kentucky's creatives for the Northern Kentucky community to participate.
And Tamara, you've had a great history with art installation projects in Covington and throughout Northern Kentucky. So this is far from your first venture over here. You've always been very regional in your approach and looking at art. And
we have been. We've hired from day one. We've hired kids who have been from Kentucky. And what's super cool is that kids are crossing the river both ways. So when we're working on projects in Kentucky and celebrating those, kids from Ohio, from Cincinnati Public Schools, or that surrounding area are making their way across the river and learning about our neighbors in Northern Kentucky. You know, I grew up in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
You know, Kentucky was, you went to the airport.
Yes.
That was it. Not anymore.
Right.
It's so different now, and that's really exciting for our region.
Well, you know, we've had about $200 million of investment in Covington alone the past 5 or 6 years. So, you know, it is definitely time. And as you said, you had to really try this out. You didn't know who was going to show up 2 years ago. So, you know, it's hard to say, well, let's expand when you don't even know if this is going to work the first time, but boy, has it worked. Where did people come from the first time from Blink? How far away? And I mean, they were not only all over the country, but all over the world.
Really all over the world. I can speak for a bunch of the artists that we engaged who did murals, who did light projections, who did our installations were from England, Canada. We had some folks from Australia come visit early on as we were planning that gave us some help, little advice from the gold standard, which is Vivid in Sydney. I heard all languages walking down the streets during Blink. It was like another country.
That's amazing.
It was amazing.
So let's talk about how this is going to cross the river into Covington. Obviously, the Roebling Bridge will be where it starts.
Yeah. So let me kind of, if you will,
Sure.
take you on a little imaginary journey of Blink in 2019. At dusk, as the sun is setting, on
Visual picture here.
visual picture on October the 10th, the sun is setting, and we will have probably more than 3,000 people lined up just a little bit north of the library at Garfield Park, ready to march in the parade. And this spectacular Blink Light Parade is the way that we see how community can participate. So it will go down Vine Street, down to the river, all the way down Vine to Freedom Way, and then there'll be a party at the riverfront, culminating all of this. And I think it is the way that we engage community that makes an event like Blink so successful. So you will see school kids and marching bands and crazy ladies who are all decked out in, day glow costumes and incredible human-powered floats from I don't know how many schools and how many counties around us, and Kentucky, including Kentucky, and we're super excited. And the other part of this, as you're marching down, is that at a couple of places, particularly at Fountain Square, these performances will stop. Maybe 5 or 6 of them will stop and perform for us. It will be broadcast on WCPO on Channel 9, and then it will culminate down at the river. And that's where we're hoping to do something super special, turn on the switch, light that bridge, and show the world how we're connecting with each other, the North and the South.
That's wonderful. And we've made a lot of strides over the years in becoming more collaborative, things like the Regional Tourism Network and other things like this. This sounds like something that will help to continue to unite Ohio and Kentucky in our region even more pronounced, don't you think?
I think that movement back and forth and making it easier, especially during Blink, and I don't know when the Roebling is going to open again, but it's certainly open to pedestrian traffic. And I love that people will walk over the bridge and land at the culmination at River Center, and Wellness Your Way is going to be on a Saturday night, so there's going to be a great party there on Saturday night, and then continue up Madison to Hotel Covington and Braxton. And the delights and the surprises along the way, and the talent that is Kentucky talent, and talent from Montreal, and all these places that are coming to our city to celebrate our future city is going to be amazing. So we need to get Kentucky out. We need to get Northern Kentucky down and out partying on the streets with us.
In your many roles that we already talked about in your introduction, is this something that is the biggest thing that you think you'll be involved in terms of making this truly a regional event?
Yes. Dauntingly, yes. There's a terrific team that, the Hale Foundation has just made it possible for so many of us to thrive and flourish and dream and innovate. But sitting with the Chamber, and certainly Brave Berlin, the brilliance of Dan and Steve, and the incredible can-do attitude of Agar and my amazing team at ArtWorks, rounds us out to, we got this. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to get a little bit more into the behind the scenes, because people just appreciate the end product and what it looks like. But
what they see.
In a moment, I want you to describe that for me. But we're going to take a short break. You're watching Getting Down to Business on TBNK. We'll be right back.
Oh, look, a redhead. Staring contest. You still got it.
I know.
Come alive with the forest.
The dad was cute.
You were looking right at us.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
And we're back to getting down to business. My guest today is Tamara Harkavy. She's the founding CEO and artistic director for ArtWorks. She's also on the leadership team for Blink, the interactive light show that first appeared to great fanfare in 2017 in Cincinnati, and now it's coming across the river into Covington in 2019. And Tamara, we were talking about the different elements of the whole Blink experience, projection, parades, murals, all those things. Why don't you talk about what ArtWorks' role is in this, and then we'll kind of delve into the other elements.
So that's awesome, because I think it's this is probably the most unique festival of its kind maybe in the world. If you think about the different elements, we have Agar is producing some street art murals in Findlay Market and one in Northern Kentucky. Bray Berlin does this magical projections which illuminate buildings and make the whole thing come to life, and ArtWorks is doing this magnificent parade. But we're also producing about 30 light-based interactive installations. So if you remember last year, there was this great installation on the riverfront that were these teeter-totters, seesaws, and you got on them, and they made music, and they lit up, and they changed colors, and there were like 16 of them in a row in this big lawn, and I would be on one side, and somebody who I've never met in my life was on the other side, and it just was this instant connection. So that group, this amazing, incredibly brilliant woman named Anne-Marie Paquette, is from Montreal. We've invited her back, and she is bringing those teeter-totters back, and those are going to be up on Court Street. But on Madison in Covington, we're commissioning her to create something brand new. So the spectacle of this is that Dan and Steve, the Agar guys, are going to create a projection. But you and I have to, you know those old railroad cars where you would like pump them up and down and go like this? So there'll be a series of those. So as a viewer and an interactive participant, when we go like this and get on these things, that's where the magic happens. So we're going to get to make the magic happen. And this has never been done before. So it's super cool, and it will debut in Covington as part of Blink, as a collaboration with a bunch of really smart, super high-tech people. Like, really excited for that.
And so how many installations are there this year compared to last time?
The number is growing and changing daily.
All the time.
I would expect there'll be about 25 to 30 projections, maybe 15 to 17 new murals, including a mural of Ralph Hale. On the Bank Building, on Madison in Covington, which is going to be super cool, painted by Christian Dallas, who's a Northern Kentucky artist. There'll be probably 30 interactive installations and probably 3,000 to 4,000 people in the parade.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. And with help from the wonderful Hale Foundation that we talked about before, we'll be one of the sponsors, and we're very excited about it at the CBC.
Do you know what you're sponsoring, Paul?
Yeah, I do. Kind of.
Have you seen it?
I have not. All these secrets.
Can we talk about it?
Later, maybe. So I don't want to get anybody in trouble. Are there other types of must-see elements of Blink besides some of the ones that you talked about that you think people really have to see? Because, you know, for some people, they may not be able to get around to the whole thing. It takes a long time.
We've divided it into zones, and there were 4 zones last year. There are 5 zones this year. So if you use your time wisely and you decide you're going to do 2 zones in one night and then take the other 3 nights and split them up, I think you'll be able to get to see the high points at least.
And is there pricing per night versus like buying a ticket to get you for the whole
Blink is
weekend?
free.
Oh yeah, okay, that's
Blink
right.
is 100% free.
Yes.
And you know what? I didn't talk about this before, and I feel terrible, but Blink is from the generosity of this community, and I want to say that Arts Wave stepped up first and foremost. along with the Hale Foundation and Greater Cincinnati Foundation and corporations and folks like you. So that's what makes it so incredibly accessible. There's one or two places where it'll cost you a couple bucks to get in and run through a tunnel of light or something like that, but it's free. Concerts and all kinds of things that'll be engaging, music on the streets.
And a lot of this, I know the folks that did the projections way back at Washington Park when it first opened, that's how this kind of really took off, right? Because they began talking about how they could make this gigantic immersive experience throughout the downtown, right? I mean, that's really
right.
great.
When Hale, when Tim Maloney and the guys from Brave Berlin and some folks from P&G and ArtWorks and Agar and all these guys were sitting at the table working on Luminosity, Dan Reynolds, who's a Kentucky boy, said, wouldn't it be great if, and here we are. You know. Also, Washington Park, which is magnificent, had views that were different 10 years ago than they are now, or 7 years ago.
Yes.
The trees have grown up and the views are blocked. So it was just a natural progression. And it's in Cincinnati. It's in our greater Cincinnati that this is happening, and the world is watching.
And and I know this is not something that's going to happen every year. It's every other year, right? That's kind of the pacing of
17 and then 19 and
2021. Yes. I mean, from your perspective, I guess the planning is to involve and engage other, communities, Newport, maybe branching out. I don't know.
You're growing Blink for
Yeah,
us.
I'm already planning ahead. Long-term
that's
planning
great.
to help you out there. That's all.
You're going to be on the development team.
Okay,
right?
yeah. Oh gosh, we got to pay for these things.
Yeah,
don't
we do. And again, thank you for your commitment to that. I think it's one of those things is when you see the impact it has, the social, economic, and physical impact that something like this has. You have to say this is good,
Right.
And it makes what you're doing visible,
Right.
right? The kind of work you've been doing for all these years becomes visible to people that don't really understand what economic development is, right? And how we build our communities and how we connect with each other.
Let's talk about that a little more too. How does this help us as a region to get us on the map? People are paying attention to what we do. You see the steady stream through the work of Source Cincinnati and what they're doing to get newspapers around the country talking about Cincinnati. But obviously they're going to be talking about us around the world. Talk about the impact of that and what it's. You can't calculate a value to that, can you?
Right, and what's really exciting to me, I'm going to just turn that a little bit.
Sure.
What's super exciting to me is that where many of us have passions around creativity and art, we are also exposing a new generation to what is possible. So when you're engaging the community from little kids to the creative minds of teenagers, and you're engaging local talent, we're creating a constellation that goes far beyond the makeup walls of what our region looks like, and that's a future city because we are not bound by this county or this place anymore, but we are all trying to make some noise so that the world pays attention, so that we're better for the work that we're doing, and I think we should give so much kudos to this region and our cities for uniting and making this possible.
Why was this a natural for ArtWorks to get involved in Blink to the extent that you have? And how does that help you advance your work moving forward?
That's a great question. At our core, we're engaging youth and we're engaging professional talent, but the work that we do has that value proposition of that, what I talked about before, that social, economic, and physical real impact, and that builds community. So everything we do, we're building these ideas and these projects through the engagement of community, whether it's in a small neighborhood, an Avondale, or an area of Covington, or the CBD, which is like we all own that, and we hope that the world appreciates it and that people will support us because they really understand the value of the work that we do.
Neat. And in our few remaining seconds, how can people help? How can they get involved in Blink?
BlinkCincinnati.com. And every day now, new information is coming up on the website. And you can just post a question there, and there's a terrific team over at the Chamber that will make sure that it gets answered and fielded to the right people.
Tamara, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
You did a great job. I was joined today by Tamara Harkavy, the CEO and Artistic Director of ArtWorks. She's also on the leadership team for Blink, the internationally acclaimed interactive light show that is spreading to Covington this fall of 2019, and we're really excited to be a part of it. So that's all the time we have today. Thank you for watching Getting Down to Business, a partnership with TBNK and the CBC. Covington Business Council appreciates that partnership with TBNK, and we look forward to you joining us the next time on our program. Thank you for joining us.